For example, a traffic police regulates the traffic, and on his instructions, proper passage of passengers and vehicles are assured, so the task significance are inevitably observable during the process. When agreements are signed, documents are exchanged during diplomatic or multilateral partnership or among institutional partnership, then exchange of documents with signature assures that certain agreement were achieved during the discussion. Team interview in which applicants are interviewed by the team members with whom they will work. It is an orientation and induction program. About training, a process whereby people acquire capabilities to aid in the achievement of organizational goals. Training and development is an essential process for quality service delivery and obedience of guidelines of QCI, ISO. Then transition stay bonus, extra payment for employees whose jobs are being eliminated, thereby motivating them to remain with the organization for a period of time. Project is completed, then the assigned person need to be attached or annexed with other essential jobs so that his stakes are also being considered properly. About wages, payment directly calculated on the amounts of time worked. Whistleblowers, individuals who report real or perceived wrongs committed by the employer. Work, effort directed towards producing or accomplishing results. Then workflow analysis, a study of the way work inputs, activities, and outputs moves through an organization for impact assessment. Then work sample test, tests that require an applicant to perform a simulated job task. About wrongful discharge occurs when an employer terminates an individual's employment for reasons that are improper or illegal. Wrongful discharge of employees from organization should be prohibited and managed properly. About yield durations, a comparison of the number of applicants at one stage of the recruiting process to the number at the next stage, yield rations. And it mentions that where I have to deploy more team, where I can squeeze the team, and where it could be expanded to improve the productivity of the organizations. Then I have shared about something like first of all, we have to make list of requisitions and resources for office arrangement at home or at your premises, project files, visiting cards of employed. Then psychomotor test, that test that measures dexterity, hand-eye coordination, arm-hand steadiness, and other factors. That how the person is able to bring synergy among the actions of his cerebrum and cerebellum during the process of his intellectual works. Then about CAT, like test that measures an individual's thinking, memory, reasoning, and verbal and mathematical abilities. This cognitive ability test can be used to test applicants' basic knowledge of terminology and concepts, work fluency, spatial orientation, comprehension, and retention span, for how long he can concentrate on a specific job. For example, Wonderlic Personal Test and General Aptitude Test Battery (GATB) It was a very good book that I was reading at the time during formulation of these strategies. Then work sample test that require an applicant to perform a simulated job task. It's about project training. Then Minnesota Multipathic Personality Inventory (MMPI) is the most widely known and used personality test. Myers-Briggs test is another such test. Big five personality traits are like conscientiousness, agreeableness, extroversion, emotional stability, and openness to experience. Conscientiousness, like achievement oriented, careful, hardworking, organized, and responsible. Agreeableness, like cooperative, good natured, soft hearted, tolerant, and trustworthy. Extroversion, like sociable, able to socialize with people. Gregarious and talkative. Then emotional stability, neurosis, depression, anger, worry, and insecurity, and how a person is managing different hurdles and uncertainties and challenges in his or her life. Openness to experience, about flexibility in thought, openness to new ideas, broad minded, curious, and original. Curiosity is the process of development, of learning. It is very essential that any person working in any organization must be open to learn at every moment of time. Then honesty or integrity testing. Two types of test assesses honesty and integrity of an individual, like overt integrity test and personality oriented integrity test. Overt integrity test includes questions such as: would you tell your boss if you know another employee was stealing from the company, or other kind of things that someone was planning against the organization, against the government, working within the ambit of governance. WIP are also implied. Is it okay to borrow company equipment to use at home if the property is always returned? Then have you ever told a lie? Have you ever wished you were physically more attractive, mentally more sound, emotionally more stable during conversations? Note: interview is the key to make psychological benefits and profile of the applicants. Then polygraphs and the Employee Polygraph Protection Act. Lie detector. It is prohibited for polygraph test for pre-employment screening, which Employee Polygraph Protection Act. However, federal, states, and local government agencies are exempt from the act as far as its applicability is concerned. The rules, acts, and regulations of concerned nations assures its working environment, and it should be aligned with that of the provisions of ILO, International Labour Organization. Then graphology, handwriting analysis, as how people dot as I or cross at T. Note: it is the popular in France, Israel, and is used on a limited basis in the United States also. That you can properly identify the person to whom it may soever is concerned. Then psychiatrist test. Some firms use psych what we can say psychological test to help select managerial talents. The psychosis or psychiatric tests are supposedly able to determine if a person is suited for a job both intellectually and emotionally or not. So you can hire, you can fire, you can terminate, you can transfer. Next is about must businessmen or organization would not want anyone to know that they use psychiatric and psychological advisors. Question: how many hours can you work a week without your schoolwork and or personal life being negatively affected? Behavioral interview in which applicants give a specific examples of how they have performed a task or handled a problem in the past. About simulation interview, an interview composed of questions about how applicants might handle a specific job situations. About non-directive interviews, interview that uses questions that are developed from the answers to previous questions, like a structured interview. Paraphrasing, lead questions, then video interviewing. The greatest use of video interviewing is done by large corporations, executive recruiting firms, media houses, government, colleges, university placement officers, and other organizations during these currently emerged environments of video conferencing. So it could be enriched with video conferencing. Then effective interviewing, planning the interview, controlling the questioning techniques, yes or no questions, like subjective, objective questions, obvious questions, qualitative, quantitative questions, questions that rarely produces a true answer, leading questions, illegal questions, and questions that are not job related. It assures the proper orientation and navigation of the thought process of an individual during the process of performance appraisal. Like common selection or interview questions, like general questions: what are your strength and weakness? Why did you leave your last job? Why should we hire you? What is most important to you in a job? What questions do you have for me? Then problem solving related questions: what is the most creative work related idea you have had? Describe a difficult problem you faced and solved. What approach to problem solving works best for you? Describe a sale you did not make and explain why. Question about motivation: what have you done that should be considered and shows your initiativeness? Innovation: what career objectives have been met? How do you measure success? What rewards mean most of you? What projects make you excited? Then about working for others: what kind of people do you like to work with? Tell me about a conflict with a fellow worker. How was it resolved? Describe your management style. How do others see you? What three words describes you? Like integrity indicators. Tell me about a time when you were not honest. How would you react if you were asked to do something unethical? If you see a coworker doing something dishonest, what would you do? When did you last break a rule? When I call your previous employer, what comments will I get about your employability, whether it is relevant or not? In this manner, this employability environments regulates. There are other related questions I will share you in the next presentations about a case study, that how a program was developed and its related activity for your field induction training programs. I'll share you further. Wish you all the best. Thank you.